For more than a decade, the town's development efforts have focused on Uptown. Where do you think development efforts should be directed in the next 10 years?
And Kathleen Lorenz, you're up first.
Well, Normal is more than just Uptown. Contrary to sometimes, people will criticize that it's so focused on Uptown. It is actually one of 5 economic development districts that we have in our community. And let's see if I can remember the other 4. We have Main and Osage, where the fire headquarters is. We have North Main and Carrick up towards the interstate. We've got North Normal, where the Radisson was developed. And I'm missing, I think, one other. But rest assured, these 5 districts are promoted just in the same way that Uptown is to developers and would-be projects. So I want to put that out there and underscore that staff and certainly council, as we look at our strategic planning, do in fact think about more than Uptown. Now, Uptown certainly has been very robust and very busy because of its urban center, and that seems to be where a lot of the development and interest is going, and I think that's why we see a preponderance of interest and time on that.
Pat Turner, where should the town focus on development in the next decade?
So I agree that there's been some great things happening in the Uptown area, and I'd like to see some of what was in the original Uptown plan continue, like our library move and expansion. I'd also like to see in the next 10 years us taking the time to really look at our community and see where we need to go back and rebuild. There's some projects that we've done very well, but over time we're seeing that we need to go back and evaluate. Do we need to fill in gaps? Do we need to re-strategize? And so that next 10 years would be a good time to really look at shoring up, making sure that we're as strong as we can be so that we can launch and build again.
Joel Studebaker, your turn at the plate.
I think it's challenging when we think only in terms of physical development, and so much of development in Normal has been focused on the buildings that we see being put up, or sometimes the renovations that we see that are very obvious. The real development that happens is about the jobs that people have access to. It's about what people can walk to from their home, from their apartment or their house, and how they can get there. Our comprehensive plan is about building complete, connected, and wow, I forgot the word. That's embarrassing. But building neighborhoods that are functional. And so when we just talk about the buildings we see going up, that's not sufficient. We need to be focused on creating jobs. We need to be focused on making sure that we eradicate the problems people face, like the food desert that we see out by Orlando on the northwest side of town. And that's more important than any of the architectural designs that we can dream of.
Stan Nord, you're up.
I would like to see the town of Normal take advantage of this new economy. Try to attract internet sellers here. Those internet sellers will bring jobs. They'll bring in revenues from out of the area. We should go after manufacturing, the blue-collar jobs. State Farm, Caterpillar, they have shown us just how easy it is for the white-collar jobs to simply be unplugged, moved somewhere else, and plugged back in. The blue-collar jobs, the manufacturing, the logistics makes it so difficult for those to be relocated. We should try attracting those businesses. We should also take advantage of the history we have here, our old structures. We should try to grow our tourism. People will drive to see the history, to see the old structures. Think of Galena. Think of St. Charles, Missouri. Those communities thrive because of the tourism, and we should save our history and attract that.
Karen Smith.
I would like the town of Normal to focus on the core business, which would be making sure the roads are in good working order. Beyond that, I'm a big fan of developing the library. I do think that there are such things as making sure all the communities have what they need to be livable. And there is an issue where the vast majority of groceries are concentrated on the east side of town, and we do have those food deserts on the west side of town. As far as a way to fund these programs, there are easements along the Constitution Trail that are still owned by the towns of Bloomington and Normal. Then if homeowners were given an opportunity to purchase those easements, it would put what is now government-owned property in the hands of private homeowners that could then be taxed, and not only would the sale bring new revenues into both communities, but it would also be offering an opportunity for ongoing taxation.
And Dave Shields, the question is, what area of town you would focus on for development over the next 10 years?
Well, it's complete, compact, and connected for the comprehensive plans. Thanks, Joel, for that. And I agree with Joel that creating a sense of neighborhoods within the town would be a good place to spend our time and energy. There's over 18 square miles of Normal. It's not all uptown, as Kathleen said. We've got Rivia and we've got Distill. We've got Portillo's, which is actually pumping a bunch of money into this town. People love their wieners. But in praise of Uptown, I do want to say that it has been done well. It has been done responsibly. We are close to doubling the return on investment that we put in there. It's not done yet, and I'm looking forward to what's coming up.
Alex Campbell.
I'm looking forward to a lot of what's proposed in Uptown 2.0, specifically the affordable housing models that are supposed to take place under that plan. I think that one of the biggest challenges that Normal faces is affordable housing. I just think that it can do a much better job of local development, of mixed income housing, to make sure that folks, that whether or not you have a livable wage, you have a place that you can live. That's what has to be most important to a local government, is making sure that its citizens are safe and have a place to go home at night. And I think that Uptown 2.0 has a lot of potential for that. And I think, again, it goes back to local development and using pro-labor to ensure that we're building places that are not falling apart, like a lot of student housing is, and ensuring that whether you're a student or a homeowner, you can afford to live where you're living.
And R.C. McBride, you'll conclude this round.
So I'd first like to dispute the idea that somehow blue-collar jobs are difficult to move. As somebody who grew up in Danville, Illinois, and saw the population reduce in half, and a lot of blue-collar jobs leave to go south and to Mexico in a hurry, that can happen very, very quickly. And the fact is that all of these things have the potential for instability, which is why forward and looking planning is so important. So I'd like to politely refute the premise of the question. I think sometimes Uptown is a victim of its own success. The changes there have been so transformative that sometimes it appears that that's the only place where things have been done. We have spent more money elsewhere in the community, but sometimes it's underground with sewers and water. Sometimes it's on roads. It's on parks. Sometimes it's on an infill development project. Sometimes it's on rehabbing what we have. Sometimes it's on historic preservation, such as the Sprague 66 station. So I think we need to continue to take, once again, a holistic approach to the entire community, as we have done.